Tonight, changing leadership at St. Joseph's Healthcare. A hospital executive leaving their position in the midst of a medical dog testing controversy. Plus, the reality behind the numbers. Local agencies scrutinize the city's homelessness data. And negotiations grinding to a halt.
None at all. It's been crickets.
Grounded Air Canada flights more and more likely.
CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with a major change at London's Lawson Health Research Institute in the wake of the St. Joseph's dog testing controversy. According to internal documents viewed by CTV News, the organization's top research official is leaving their position. With the latest, here's Rita Ismail.
The fallout continues at Lawson Research Institute at St. Joseph's Healthcare after whistleblowers raised concerns about dog testing at the facility.
And what we found based on their information was dogs who were being induced with up to 3-hour heart attacks and then used in medical imaging studies and used in the same MRI machines that human patients at St. Joseph's were used in.
CTV News has learned the Institute's top research executive has quietly stepped down. In an internal email obtained by CTV News, Lawson confirms that Dr. Lisa Porter, the Vice President of Research and Scientific Director, is no longer with the organization. The move comes just over a week after the Institute announced it would end research involving dogs. Western Animal Care Committee, which is mandated by the Canadian Council on Animal Care to oversee animal testing for research, says it is a rigorous process that involves many people.
We have animal care workers, we have facility managers, and we have also members of the public. Because the focus of the ACC is to make sure that the research being done is done with ethical oversight.
It is that ethical oversight that has been questioned in the past 2 weeks, despite the hospital maintaining it was done with care. In a statement, Roy Butler, CEO of St. Joseph's Healthcare, says as part of the studies, dogs were included in an enrichment program created by registered veterinary technologists to ensure they were socialized with each other and humans daily. While testing has stopped, Lawson says dogs remain in its care at St. Joseph's Healthcare. The hospital says oversight from the CCAC and the Western Animal Care Committee remains in place to ensure all protocols are ethical and transparent.
We have so many checks and balances in place to push back against that. And it's arm's length. And it's also external, federal and provincial. There's lots of layers here. It's a complicated issue that really, even though it's emotional, we do need to sit back and consider it a little more slowly, and the details are important.
In response to questions about the continued use of animals in research, St. Joe's pointed to a national guideline saying there's currently no complete alternative to animal models in drug development. In a new step, the hospital says an independent third party will review all animal research practices at Lawson, with plans to share those findings publicly.
Do they have enough staff, to take care of these animals? Are the facilities in good repair and all that? These are the kind of things. When an event like this one that happened occurred, what we do as well, we ask, right now we're doing it. We've been asking lots of documentations from the university, from St. Joseph Hospital in that case. They sent it to us. So we'll make sure, we'll look into that everything was in compliance.
For now, there's no word on whether Lisa Porter's departure is directly connected to the whistleblower complaints, but the hospital says it's committed to restoring public trust, and that includes accountability. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
A sentencing hearing for former Woodstock Mayor Trevor Birch was delayed today. The 50-year-old appeared for the hearing without his lawyer today, who has been disbarred. The judge ruled Birch should have representation, adjourning proceedings for a month to give the former mayor time to find a new lawyer. A year ago, Birch was convicted on 2 counts of sexual assault. A separate sexual assault trial against him ended in a mistrial, with a retrial expected to take place.
Good evening. I'm meteorologist Gary Archibald for CTV News. Not much to see across southern Ontario. Ridge of high pressure has kept us relatively fair and clear of any substantial cloud cover or precipitation, but there is some coming from the west to east through Wisconsin, headed towards Michigan through the overnight. We're still sunny tomorrow. Saturday is going to be yet another warm day, just like today, and humid. It will feel like the upper 30s, but rain later in the evening could linger into Sunday, and then a cool off for next week. I'll break down what you need to know on all fronts just ahead. For now, I'll send it back to you, Carlyle.
Thank you, Gary. Air Canada canceled more flights today, winding down operations in anticipation of a potential flight attendant strike tomorrow. So far, nearly 300 flights have been grounded, affecting thousands of travelers. With the latest on negotiations, here's Kamil Karamali.
Behind these doors, the war room for flight attendants who say they're waiting for Air Canada to meet them at the table.
Any progress in talks?
None at all. It's been crickets.
Almost no progress made throughout the day today on a new agreement between the airline and the union representing more than 10,000 flight attendants. With little runway remaining before workers walk off the job, Air Canada told the federal government that it wants to go through binding arbitration that would bring in a neutral third party into the negotiations. The union responded today saying Air Canada's request for ministerial intervention under Section 107 should be firmly rejected.
We don't think that a third party should be coming in to save the day once again for Air Canada, swoop in and not let them negotiate.
Both sides are battling it out over wages. Air Canada has said it's offering a 38% increase in total compensation that includes wages, benefits, and pension over 4 years. But the union says when you look at just the wages, that amounts to just over 17% over 4 years. The airline says that's a fair amount.
This will make them the best paid in Canada. And that's important because they are the best flight attendants in Canada.
Flight attendants also fighting to get compensated for unpaid work that happens before takeoff and after landing. Air Canada has offered to pay 50% for that work while planes are on the ground. The union wants 100%.
What we're offering with regards to ground pay will be the best in Canada. So, we're working to, recognize the contributions of the flight attendants.
Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu's office now urging both sides to work with federal mediators to get a deal done, something that seems far from happening at this time. Kamil Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
New data from City Hall today suggesting London's homelessness crisis may have plateaued this summer. However, as Daryl Newcomb reports, local agencies aren't convinced the numbers tell the whole story.
Private security now patrols the city-owned parking lot in the Old East Village, reducing encampments, but leaving some homeless Londoners feeling pushed further away from their support services.
They first come up and say, hurry up and pack up, you got half an hour, and if you don't, your stuff goes in a trailer, and then you have nothing.
City Hall's new quarterly report shows on June 30th, there were 1,987 people experiencing some level of homelessness, up slightly from the same period last year. The number of encampments rose slightly to 75, and the number of people living in encampments dipped to 222. But Sarah Campbell with Arcade Street Mission suggests that those numbers don't accurately reflect the homelessness crisis this summer. She believes open drug use enforcement by London police, as well as the presence of private security and bylaw enforcement officers, simply drives the unhoused to less visible locations and further from support.
We have these initiatives to push people out of the core for the summertime. So where are they? And I think Londoners know they're in parks and neighborhoods all over the city.
The quarterly snapshot of homelessness is based on the city's by name list, which collects data whenever an individual interacts with a homelessness service. However, because some people refuse to provide information or even to interact with homelessness services, it's acknowledged to be the best available data, but an undercounting of the overall crisis.
The numbers that we see are numbers of people who have connected to the system. People aren't able to find those open doors as easily. At Arcade Street Mission, we're well familiar with this being the only open-door service on weekends or holidays.
Meanwhile, in a statement to CTV News, London Cares wrote, individuals looking to access our day space are increasing.
I think always the question is, what's the access to support and care? And access means that people know where to go, where to find those services, and where to connect.
No one from City Hall administration was available for an interview about the latest homelessness data and how it may be impacted by recent enforcement actions. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
New details today in a gruesome homicide investigation out of Barrie. Murder charges have been laid 2 weeks after human remains were found in a homeless encampment. Jack Morse reports.
We're learning more tonight about 2 men allegedly killed, chopped up, and dumped by Robert Ladouceur, a.k.a. Tattoo Rob. The victims are 45-year-old William Blake Robinson and 41-year-old David Kyle Cheesequay. Both men had checkered pasts and criminal records. Cheesequay most recently charged with crimes related to possession of drugs, stolen property, and weapons. Robinson faced charges for drug possession and trafficking. Loved ones tell CTV News Robinson was a father and fiancé, but the victim of addiction. Police have not said if the killings are drug-related or even if the 3 men knew each other. Barrie Mayor Alex Nuttall says this isn't something he ever expected.
Sometimes it just feels a little bit surreal for us to think like, wow, has this happened and how did this happen inside of our community?
At Barrie's courthouse today, the charges of first and second-degree murder were read out for the first time to a stone-faced Ladouceur. A massive police investigation shut down a homeless encampment just outside Barrie's downtown 2 weeks ago. Officers were also at a property in Huntsville and a home at an undisclosed location in North Simcoe County. It was during that investigation they found human remains. It's been highly secretive. Despite releasing the charges yesterday, police are not willing to speak about the case until August 26th.
Further press releases by the police may not contain any more information. When the chief and a sergeant meet with the media in the coming weeks, they may not be able to say any more. And I think that has to be accepted by us in the media and the public, that is the reality of the court system and the court process.
That secrecy has left the community wondering just what happened here.
I think this is something, obviously, that we didn't expect to see or hear about. It's something that I think is going to change the way things are done going forward.
The brutal murders a shock and a reminder that our city is not immune to big city crime. Jack Morse, CTV News, Barrie.
London police say they've charged a 27-year-old man with possessing child pornography. Police say they executed a search warrant at a home on King Street Wednesday. According to police, they found suspected child porn on electronic devices. Police say the man remains in custody and will appear in court next month. St. Thomas police say they've issued an arrest warrant for a teenager wanted for a violent incident. According to police, officers were called to the St. Thomas Elgin General Emergency Room early this morning. A 17-year-old reportedly became violent toward hospital staff. Police say the teenager assaulted 3 officers, threatened staff, pulled a fire alarm, and they now face several charges. The provincial government is investing millions of dollars in expanding wastewater treatment in Luke and Biddulph. As Brian Bicknell reports, the community's sewage system is already over capacity.
It's a community overflowing at the rim.
So essentially growth has stalled. Somebody comes to the office today and wants to apply for something new. We can't approve that because we have no more room in our treatment plant.
Developed in the late 1980s for population projections at that time, Luke and Biddulph's wastewater treatment plant is currently operating at 104% capacity. But the community is about to become flush with development and cash.
$17,661,438.
Lambton Kent Middlesex MPP Steve Pinsino visited the community to announce more than $17.6 million in provincial funding to expand the wastewater treatment plant. It will allow for the construction of 1,000 new homes.
And it does seem like people are flocking to come here. It's just close enough to London that you're having a lot of people moving in here from London, and people who are retiring, want to get out of the city, are coming here. It's a beautiful little community.
Positive news for local ratepayers, but every time a bedroom community of London expands, Some London politicians grow a little more nervous. They worry about the potential negative impact on city infrastructure and services. London councillor Steve Lehman argues London needs to expand its urban growth boundary to accommodate population growth.
When people live outside of London, they still continue to put pressure on our infrastructure, our roads, etc. But yet we don't control density builds and how we want traffic to go. And we don't collect any property taxes.
Any major city is going to have to draw from the workforce from outside of the city. So that's not uncommon. That's pretty well every city in Ontario.
In the meantime, construction at the plant is expected to begin late this year or early next year and take about 18 months to complete. In Lucan Biddulph, Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
Ontario doctors are negotiating with the provincial government right now, trying to get so-called good faith billing restored. That involved patients who are eligible for OHIP but don't have a valid card. Pauline Chan reports.
I'm thinking about patients who are unhoused, patients with low socioeconomic status, migrant workers, and that does contribute a significant proportion of patients that we see in the emergency department every night.
Dr. Bernard Ho works at a downtown hospital and says they treat patients regardless of whether they present an OHIP card or not. But physicians can't bill for these cases. The Ontario Medical Association says these good faith patients include newborns.
If for any reason there's any kind of a delay with parents registering their newborn within a certain number of days after they're born, their OHIP number becomes ineligible or non-valid.
Those whose cards have lapsed.
This could be for some of our really vulnerable populations, those experiencing mental health issues, those who are experiencing homelessness. You do require an address to actually get your OHIP updated.
And sometimes unconscious patients without ID, like from a bad accident.
So physicians, provide healthcare in good faith. And so we're just asking for the remuneration to also pair with this.
Ontario used to have a system for good faith billing back in 1998. It was cut and brought back for a short time during the pandemic.
We are currently awaiting for the arbitrator to present their final award, and that would be hopefully sometime this fall.
Dr. Ho says good faith cases aren't counted by the ministry when determining funding for hospitals.
It affects the funding that our ERs get from the ministry, because part of the funding is tied to the volume of patients that we see.
He'd like to see these cases included.
We may get more physician hours of funding, which means that we might be able to fund one extra physician to staff the ER every day.
And he says that would significantly reduce wait times, a benefit to all patients. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Coming up, presidential peace negotiations. The American and Russian leaders meet without any Ukrainian input. Meanwhile, the next potential tariff target, why the White House is putting semiconductor chips on the trade war table.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We begin tonight with Ontario's latest.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. ctvlondon.ca, your home for news.
Welcome back. The American and Russian presidents are in Alaska right now for a high-stakes summit on the war in Ukraine. Donald Trump has said he wants to get Vladimir Putin back to the negotiating table. With more on their face-to-face, here's Mike Lucatur.
A picture may be worth 1,000 words, but those images from the tarmac here in Anchorage may have left some people speechless. It was a very warm welcome and a red carpet treatment for Russian President Vladimir Putin. Of course, it looked like a coordinated photo op of the two presidents exiting their presidential aircraft at the same time and then meeting together on the red carpet for a handshake and then walking towards the presidential limousine. And we're being told, and we're hearing, I should say, from Russian media that it was Donald Trump who offered to give Putin a lift in the presidential limousine towards the building where they were going to have those talks. Those talks are ongoing. Russian media are reporting that they could go as long as 6 hours, but the White House had not scheduled that amount of time for it. We know that the one thing that U.S. President Donald Trump wants out of these is a ceasefire. He wants to make sure that Putin agrees to that in Ukraine, and he has said if he doesn't agree to that, he won't be very happy. He's also said he'll know within the first 2 to 5 minutes whether or not those meetings will be good meetings or not. They're also supposed to be joined by a number of their advisors, Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister on the Russian side, and of course, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. They're having that expanded bilateral meeting instead of a one-on-one. Following that, we are expecting a joint press conference between the two leaders. But Trump has said, and the White House has said, it could be that if the meeting doesn't go well, then it will be just Trump alone. He's also supposed to have a conversation with Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, at the conclusion of these meetings. But Trump has said if it doesn't go well, he may not make that call and he may just return to Washington. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Anchorage, Alaska.
On his way to Alaska, President Trump dropped another trade threat on the semiconductor sector. It's an industry supporting more than 120,000 jobs in Canada. With more on the potential impact, here's Rachel Aiello.
Donald Trump says he's about to send tariffs on semiconductors climbing. Aboard Air Force One, the U.S. president said that either next week or the week after, he'll be taking new trade action against the microchips that help power virtually all electronic devices.
We're going to have a rate that is going to be lower at the beginning. Then that gives them a chance to come in and build, and very high after a certain period of time. And if they don't build here, they have to pay a very high tariff, which doesn't work, so they'll come and build.
Today, the Canadian sector, which does big business south of the border, said Trump's threat could have big implications, not only for consumers, but the country as a whole.
Semiconductors underpin the entire innovation economy. And if you're not able to access semiconductors, you're not actually able to be sovereign in the ways that we mean it in the 21st century.
With another sector now bracing for Trump's impact, new polling indicates anxiety over the state of Canada-U.S. relations is skyrocketing. Nanos' latest numbers show that in the last month, Trump and the state of trade talks overtook the economy and jobs as the top national issue of concern.
Knowing that as time goes by and as Canadian jobs are at risk because of this trade uncertainty, that there will be increasing pressure for the government, not just to get some sort of deal and to bring stability to the relationship, but to also help industries that are currently suffering as a result of Donald Trump.
Nick Nano said that while the Liberals still have a sizable advantage over the other parties in the polls, succeeding or failing on the Trump file is shaping up to be the first defining test for Prime Minister Mark Carney. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Lambton OPP say they're going to step up enforcement on the 402 in Sarnia near the Blue Water Bridge. There has been increased traffic congestion reported in recent weeks heading into the U.S. Police say they're targeting unsafe and illegal driving by truckers and passenger vehicles. Sarnia's mayor had penned a letter last month asking the provincial government to get involved, improving safety on the 402. Well, Gary Archibald is here with our weather forecast tonight. And Gary, it's a beautiful Friday night here in London. That's going to take us into the weekend. How's the rest of the weekend shaping up?
Great city with great weather for tonight. The weekend, Carlyle starts off sunny and beautiful. It ends at least towards the afternoon, early evening. Saturday with some showers. We do need the rains, so there's really a silver lining to this story. The 30 degrees today, obviously well above seasonal by 5 degrees. Our average highs and lows across southwestern Ontario, everywhere in fact, starting to decrease because we've met, the halfway. We've passed the halfway mark of the summer season, and it's just getting cooler. A fraction of a degree Celsius every single day, in fact, about 1/10 of a degree. We're still warm tonight, 28 degrees, sunny. I would say a bit hazy. Air quality's been in that 4-5 range, which would be low, moderate on the AQI index. It still feels like about 32 at the airport. Starting to see a bit more cloud cover this hour. The eastern flank of the country is the warmest. We've been cooler in the prairies. and on the prairies, in fact. Southern Saskatchewan in the teens there. Meanwhile, we're closer to 28 to 30 degrees across parts of southern Ontario along the 401 corridor between London towards Kitchener-Waterloo and the GTA. Not really anything to see here with the satellite radar imagery. Ridge 5 pressure is keeping us quiet and clear in terms of the cloud cover tonight before rains. I mean, nice little burst, a good spin. It's a real tightly wound area of low pressure just spun over Lake Erie. It could still usher in some light showers. I don't think it's a huge thunderstorm maker for tomorrow afternoon. Speaking of tomorrow, sunny to start, as mentioned, through the afternoon, sunny and warm, and then we'll see the rain start to come in late in the day. I think we'll see the increased cloudiness around 7, 8 p.m., 9 o'clock. The rain's starting to filter right through eastern Michigan into southwestern Ontario. And yeah, it's much needed rain, so we shouldn't frown about that. 27 degrees, that's warm. Still feels like 32 at 8 o'clock, increasing cloudiness, and then we'll see a bit of a clearing right behind it. And these clouds are of the fair weather variety if we see it at all. Clear through 10 o'clock, midnight, 20 degrees feels like 25. The winds are calm pre-dawn. So where do we go from here? Take a look at the metal roof outlet. 7-day forecast. Highs and lows anticipated with the probability stat giving us an indication of the chances of an occurrence of precipitation. It's relatively moderate over the next couple of days. We are warm tomorrow. 32 feels like about 40, then 28, and look at this, down to 24, 25, mid-20s. Wednesday through Thursday, Friday, showery for the weekend at times. Monday and Tuesday, cloudy and cooler next week. The Midwest, similar looking forecast. Warm tomorrow, showers late in the day, showery Sunday, and then cooler and cloudier Monday. Wow, 22, look at that. And then fair weather through the midweek. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, fluctuations of temperatures. The average temperature next week's about 24, almost 25 degrees. That's comfortable. What do you think, Carlyle?
I'd agree with that one. All right, Gary, thanks very much. Still ahead, the future of Canada's submarine fleet. Concerns the deep sea patrollers will soon be obsolete and in need of replacing.
Coming up Monday morning, we could be calling you with some incredible news.
We could be sending you to Kelowna to check out the CCMAs. If you entered even just one keyword, make sure you're listening on Monday morning.
Good luck.
Meetings between Canada Post and union officials scheduled for today and Monday have been postponed. The federal mediators involved in those talks are unavailable because they're currently tied up with the Air Canada flight attendant dispute. Postal workers rejected the latest proposal, which included a 13% raise over 4 years, while adding part-time weekend delivery shifts. These negotiations have been ongoing for more than a year and a half now. China has filed a complaint against Canada at the World Trade Organization. Last month, the federal government announced an additional 25% tariff on steel imports from China. Today, Chinese officials called that discriminatory, saying it disregards WTO rules. In response, China has placed temporary duties on Canadian imports, most significantly canola. The country's top naval commander says he wants a decision made sooner rather than later on the future of Canada's submarines. As Judy Trin reports, our current fleet is quickly aging and will soon be obsolete.
Only one of Canada's submarines is surveilling the deep seas. The other 3 subs are grounded under maintenance, making it difficult to meet military obligations.
It means that we've got 3 oceans to defend and we have 1 that we can cover. And because we've struggled to get these submarines operational.
All of Canada's submarines were built in the 1980s and will be too old in a decade. The Navy says it requires 12 new conventional diesel-electric powered submarines in order to effectively patrol the oceans and train its officers. Companies from France, South Korea, Spain, Sweden, and a joint venture from Germany and Norway say they can meet those requirements.
Submarine will be diving in 1 minute.
The government plans to decide on a supplier by 2028, but the Navy's top commander wants the timeline moved up by 2 years.
I'd like a shortlist even sooner than that, and I'd like a decision by the end of the year. I think we can get, it's going to be a lot of work.
The most ambitious pitch came from a South Korean company. Hanwha, which already has vessels in production, says it can deliver the first submarine to Canada by 2032 and 3 more by 2034 and 1 per year after that.
We produce ships and submarines at 40 plus ships and submarines a year. We believe that as we're already producing these are the same submarines that are in use operating right now with the Korean Navy.
But the federal government is looking for more than just speed. The deal will be leveraged to boost the economy.
The lowering of trade barriers, access to markets, commitments to invest in Canada. It could be based on the final decision could be based on a whole lot of non-military factors.
Each submarine will cost about $2 billion to build. The U.S. is not a factor in this decision because it doesn't make conventional submarines, only nuclear ones. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Canada's main stock index edged lower today, weighed down by losses in technology stocks. The TSX is down 11 points. In New York, the Dow gained 35 and the Nasdaq fell 88. The Canadian dollar unchanged at about 72.5 cents U.S. On commodity markets, gold dropped 60 cents an ounce and oil fell $1.05 a barrel.
This summer, I'm on a mission to prove what we all secretly suspect.
Later on CTV News, the Toronto man challenging public transit to a foot race and winning. Welcome back. London police say one person was seriously hurt in a crash this afternoon in East London. It happened near Bridges and Egerton Street, shutting down traffic in both directions for the police investigation. They say one person was sent to hospital with life-threatening injuries, and we're asking residents to avoid the area. Officials fighting wildfires in the Kawartha Lakes region say the 2 most concerning fires are now considered held. That classification means neither fire is expected to spread any further under current and forecasted conditions. Local officials say firefighter resources have been strained, though, by the persistent dry conditions. They've also been urging people to avoid the area while maintaining road closures near the wildfires' paths. Health authorities in Brantford say a dead bat found inside a daycare has tested positive for rabies. As Hannah Schmidt reports, the day after that discovery, another live bat was flying around inside the facility.
It's the kind of message that makes parents' stomachs drop. A notice from their children's daycare, warning of a bat inside, later confirmed to have rabies.
That was kind of our turning point that we are going to just have an overabundance of caution.
And then another bat sighting.
There's 2 bats, a live one and a dead one. We figured it was in best interest to just get a better safe than sorry, get my son a rabies shot. There was a whole bunch of other children also.
A parent who wished to stay anonymous due to concerns over their child's private health information told CTV News they were alarmed by the news prompting them to pull their child out of daycare.
It does throw a wrench in some of the scheduling aspect because, all of a sudden now you need childcare full-time for 2 weeks that we weren't anticipating needing.
Grand Erie Public Health says anyone who had direct contact with the deceased rabid bat found on August 11th has already been contacted and advised to start post-exposure prophylaxis.
We do not have concern at this time or have not been notified at this time of anyone who had a high-risk exposure, which would involve a bite or a scratch, or potentially any contact with other mucous membranes.
The daycare says no one came into contact with the second live bat that was found flying around the facility's second floor. Once the deceased bat was confirmed rabies positive and the second bat was sighted, the daycare was temporarily closed on August 13th.
We're not 100% sure how long the daycare will be closed for. We're hopeful that over the course of the next few days, we'll be able to report back to the parents. We're going to keep in touch with your parents directly.
But parents say they were stunned to learn there had been bat sightings months earlier. Sightings they say were never shared with families.
They've also seemed shocked by some of the other information that was provided. So again, it just seems like a big disconnect somewhere. And I think that's the frustration of, I know for us and probably a lot of other parents.
The daycare says those bats were found alive in a bin outside in June. No one touched them, and they were removed without incident.
Our maintenance person came and took the tote and brought these 2 live bats outside of the facility's grounds and released them safely as required by the law because they are protected as an endangered species. It wasn't an incident in terms of anyone coming in contact with it. At the time, the center didn't see the need to concern parents.
The center now working with a wildlife control company to remediate the building.
The center has a crew on site from a wildlife specialist company who have come in every day this week to monitor the situation, to try and find where the bats were coming from.
While a public health investigation is underway into the circumstances surrounding the incident, Creative Minds Daycare will remain closed until the facility has been fully inspected and it is confirmed that no additional bats are present. Hannah Schmidt, CTV News.
Canada's oldest and most prestigious thoroughbred race will run tomorrow at Woodbine Racetrack in Toronto. It'll be the 166th running of the King's Plate. It's the first leg of the Canadian Triple Crown, featuring plenty of pageantry in the stands. The main race is scheduled for around 5:30 p.m. Saturday.
Let's look at our CTV News weather snapshot. Thanks to Mike Brown for this beautiful image. Tonight, it's a quiet one with a low of about 16, maybe 17 degrees Celsius, mostly clear. Then tomorrow, warming up to 33 degrees Celsius in the afternoon, increasing cloudiness by supper time for most around 5 or 6 p.m. And then some showers. Cooler on Sunday, a high of 27, mostly cloudy, with a chance of showers in the afternoon. Wherever you are, enjoy your weekend and your weather.
A ceremony at the National War Memorial today commemorating the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War. More than 1.1 million Canadians served the country's war effort from 1939 to 1945, roughly 10% of the population at that time. Around 45,000 were killed. Last week, the federal government pledged a major boost for armed forces salaries, an effort to increase recruitment and retention numbers. A man in Washington, D.C. has been charged with assault, accused of throwing a sandwich at a federal officer.
In retrospect, he's going to say, hey, why did I do that? But at the time, mentally, he's like, hey, this is my city. Don't want you here.
In this video, the suspect appears to yell at the agent before throwing his sandwich. President Donald Trump had ordered federal officers and the National Guard to patrol the U.S. Capitol, claiming the measure was to crack down on crime. If convicted, the suspect could face up to 8 years in prison. A United Nations effort to end plastic pollution fell apart today with no plans for negotiations to resume.
We are sorry to see that we, despite your efforts to bring us closer, will not be able to finalize negotiations on an acceptable outcome.
The failed talks leave no path to addressing plastic pollution in landfills and oceans around the world. Leaders from several nations had been talking in Switzerland for the last 11 days. However, they have been deadlocked on whether plastic production should be reduced and what kind of controls should be put in place on toxic chemicals used to make plastics. Kayakers in Eastern Ontario are closing in on a major fundraising milestone. They've been raising money for the Canadian Cancer Society, paddling the length of Ottawa's Rideau Canal every year. With more, here's Dylan Dyson.
We are the kayakers. We are the kayakers. Kayaking for cancer. Kayaking for cancer.
Many of these paddlers have been navigating the Rideau Canal from Kingston to Ottawa for 25 years. For 14-year-old Lily Simpson, this is year one.
Our grandchildren have joined, and this year Lily, our 14-year-old granddaughter, has joined in honor of her mother, who has had cancer.
It's a similar story for each of these kayakers, their lives directly impacted by cancer. This helps.
It's been great. You really just get a second to take recognition of everything around you and people you're doing it for.
Kevin Dion started Kayaking for Cancer 25 years ago.
In 2001, I just got tired of hearing the word.
I was frustrated. I didn't know what I could do. I remember as a small boy, after my mother's first diagnosis of cancer, her going house to house to house to house with a clipboard asking people for a donation. So this didn't come lightly by me.
Over that time, his initiative has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for the Canadian Cancer Society. This year, they are pushing to cross the $1 million mark.
One step closer. It's a stretch this year, but we're taking a shot to get there.
We're at 54,000 now.
For this year, and we needed 122, so quite a ways to go, but hey, here's hoping. Who would have ever thought a group like us would have, we're a small group, we're just families and friends, we're not a big corporation. We never thought that the day we started this, we never thought we'd be here 25 years, and we never thought we'd see $1 million.
When the group reaches its destination of Parliament Hill on Saturday, they will have paddled more than 5,000 kilometers in those 25 years.
Terry Fox is a hero of mine. I remember him running through Brockville, and just to think that it's his 45th anniversary of his Marathon of Hope, and it's our 25th year of doing Kayaking for Cancer.
Donations supporting the paddlers' efforts can be made at kayakingforcancer.com.
It will be an honor to say that we've given the Canadian Cancer Society $1 million.
Dylan Dyson, CTV News, Kemptville.
London's top stories.
We have breaking news tonight out of Ottawa. The latest in the
breaking news alerts.
I'm tracking an area of severe weather. It'll start.
And watch live.
A development now to a story from City Hall we brought you.
Download the CTV News app.
Welcome back. A Saskatchewan family are turning an act of hatred into a colorful message of positivity. With more, here's Virginia DeClute.
A Yorkton family started the week with a shocking discovery.
So my son Ben discovered this first thing in the morning. He leaves for work at 6 a.m. And so he took a picture and sent it to me, and that's what I woke up to.
Overnight, homophobic slurs were spray painted on their garage door and house front.
I don't think we were super upset at the time, but my daughter was. Especially the words that they used were so ugly.
After giving it some thought, the family decided not to remove the hateful words, instead transforming what intended to hurt and harm into something beautiful and positive.
We are proud of who we are. We're proud of ourselves as a family, and we're proud of the 2S LGBTQ plus people in our family and in our community and our friends. And the person that did this is the person that should feel ashamed and small and ugly, not us.
The mayor of Yorkton says hate has no place here.
Any vandalism is wrong and is a crime, but when you tie in that type of hate with the vandalism, it's completely unacceptable and really is disappointing from my place as mayor, and I think for most of the residents of our community, if not all the residents of our community, it's a very disappointing thing to see happen.
Neighbors, friends, colleagues, and schoolmates are showing a tremendous amount of support for the family, proving that after every storm comes a rainbow.
Yeah, it was just a lot of people came to me, like more than I expected, and to be as upset as they were, it made me feel like a part of a community that actually cared about me and understood me. So that was actually really nice.
The family says the incident has been reported to the RCMP. Frugina DeClute, CTV News, Yorkton.
A Toronto man is gaining a big online following, highlighting the city's transit issues downtown. He's running along sidewalks, racing streetcars to show how slow they are.
This week on episode 6 of Man vs. Machine, we're back at Broadview Station, taking on the 505 Dundas streetcar with my friend Jack. Starting off, Jack got on the streetcar, doors closed, and we were off. After beating the streetcar last week, I was expecting this one to be pretty easy. So once again, got through the gates, got across Danforth, and almost was taken out by a cyclist, which was not ideal. Got down to Gerrard, hit some lights, only to realize that Jack was actually right behind me. I kept moving, and by the time I hit Dundas Square, I'd reached the streetcar in front of him and was actually able to stop off for a quick Tim's.
So this is a weekly series called Man vs. Machine. Through all the videos the runner has posted, he is undefeated, claiming to have beaten a streetcar by 25 minutes.
This probably came about a year ago, where my wife and I were taking the streetcar from High Park all the way to Leslieville, which isn't a super far distance. It's about 12 kilometers, and both my wife and I are runners, so we do that distance quite often, and we are very surprised that it took well over an hour. So during the ride, we looked at each other and went, oh, we could do this.
Yeah.
We could beat this.
Yeah.
And then that kind of sat with me for a while, and then my friend Jack, who's here with me, I ran the idea by him, and he's a lot more into content creation and a lot better with a camera than I am, and he really pushed me to do it.
I know that he could do this, stopping at lights, and we even had the idea, like, why don't we stop at a Tim's, get a donut halfway through, and he'll still beat the streetcar. But even we had another reporter join us, and we, even though they were slower, they could still beat the streetcar, and we just knew that this is an everyday problem that people face, and just highlighting the funness of it.
The man behind the races says he's a transit advocate and he's pushing for more designated streetcar lanes in Toronto to speed up service. That's it for us. Thanks for watching. For your latest local headlines, you can always head to our website. For all of us at CTV News London, I'm Carlyle Fiset. Have a great weekend.